Did you really just go live and then you muted yourself?
Yeah, of course I did.
Where's Frankie so you can say rookie?
Well, it's trippy because I had my mic up here at the right. So what I did, oh shoot. So what I did, I grabbed the mic and put it forward me, and I clicked on the button, and I actually pushed the mute button.
There, rookie. So anyway, hey everybody.
Hola, folks, and again, we if you are on my regular page, you're not seeing anything that we're showing, and you're not listening to anything that we're saying. So again, to everyone out there, if you have some folks that are asking you like, whatever happened to the Erasmo show thing, tell them to get on YouTube or to get on Erasmo Castro candidate page, because there's some people watching on there. Actually, we got a lot more people on the candidate page right now watching than we do on YouTube, which is okay. No, not anymore. Now people are coming in.
Hey, I just became the first person to like you on YouTube.
Oh, I appreciate that, Maggie.
You're
It's kind
welcome.
of like the old philosophical phrase: "If a tree falls in the forest, nobody hears it. Did it really
No.
fall?"
Oh, I thought it was if the tree falls in the forest and no one's there to witness it. Did it really make a noise? But
I
that's
think
good.
you got it more than I did. I butchered it.
But I like yours too. Did it really fall?
I
Oh,
I
the way
simplified it a bit, you know.
the way the way that I learned it was if Erasmus in Colombia and he farts, does anyone listen to it?
Yes, because it comes in as like a hurricane on the other side. You know how the petals of the flutter of a wing, a
Oh,
butterfly wing
well, that's
causes
what
a tsunami on the other side. That's what happens to us is lower
that's what my
hemisphere at Osmo farts, upper hemisphere Brownsville gets a hurricane.
well
Smelt
my
it, dealt it. That's the rule. Smelt it, dealt it.
Andy. If you want to come on the live, you let me know. People are requesting to come on the live on the candidate page. If you want to come on the live, you let me know. Let me say, guys, it is again just to remind everyone that's on YouTube and on the Erasmo Castro candidate page, guys. We are still in Facebook jail, so it's not going to be streaming on every page out there, but it's going to be streaming on some of the pages. Thank you, Maggie. And so again, please encourage individuals to get on that candidate page and put a little bell or something to remind you about anything that comes on, or get on YouTube, man. And YouTube, you could actually hide your name; you'll never know who the hell you are. Let me say, it has been one of those days that I like
Wish you
want to,
were on Facebook.
yeah, that I want to kick myself because I'm going like, why the hell am I off Facebook and I cannot post everything? It comes in like the dust from Africa. That's what Vito's saying. It's one of those days that I really, really, really wish that I was on Facebook. And the reason is because we had the FBI arrest certain politicos this morning. And I make mention certain politicos because one of the things that I've been screaming about for years was how a lot of our city's resources and monies get funneled into these different groups and organizations that, in namesake, they're out there doing the work of God. You know, they're doing great things because mentioning the Ruben Gallegos Jr. Getting arrested, and Ruben Gallegos Sr. Apparently also getting picked up by the feds. And and again, it's really disappointing what they are accused of doing. And y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. Is funding a lot of federal funds into their bank accounts,
A lot,
millions.
as in
Uh,
plural.
Yeah, millions and millions. Actually, I think the amount that I read in regards to what will come out, and we're not sure yet because the indictments will be uh, unsealed on Friday. On Friday, we're going to find out exactly what the government's case is. I think.
Friday
Again,
tomorrow.
oh yeah, tomorrow. I think, and I think that's the way that the process is, isn't it, Ricardo?
It is. They have to keep the indictment under seal so that nobody is made aware of an ongoing investigation because they're literally building a case as the arrests come. I mean, there might not be an airtight case on every single person named in the indictment, so you could have a partial unsealing or a full unsealing. But the idea is for the federal government to be able to prove its case.
Okay, so in essence, right now, they were at least Junior was arrested. At least we know for sure. So being arrested, that means they've got something on you, know.
For sure.
At the federal level, to be arrested, most likely they built a case they're confident in. And they're likely going to arrest the folks that they believe may be able to vindicate themselves somewhat or reduce the penalty by coming clean on their criminal partners. And this is an important aspect. If that person is listening right now or anybody connected, there's an old rule in the federal defense game, and my suegro says it best because he's a very seasoned federal defense attorney. Usually, the first one who is there to debrief or come clean is the first one to get the best deal.
Yes.
So let the deal come. If you want the best deal, you better get to your local federal FBI agent and come clean, ladies and gentlemen.
I always thought that was just a Law and Order popular line for them to say. The one who comes clean first is the one with the best deal, or the one who volunteers the information first is the one with the best deal. And they're always saying like your friend on the other side is already giving up information. But I always thought they were just like you could still come in second and get a better deal.
Yeah, well, look at the atrocities that former Judge Abel Limas did. If you look at these transcripts, this slime ball committed some of the most atrocious things a judicial officer can do. Yet, he had a modest sentence because he stuck around and testified against all the other folks that he was doing bad business with.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned in regards to whoever sings first is going to get the best deal. And look, one of the things that I think that is really important is this is not the first time that we are hearing about these individuals and these groups, because people that have been following us for a while, I don't even know if you were on back then when I first started reporting on all the crap that was going on at these schools.
No.
But let me say, guys, I was out there sharing information in regards to how they would go, how they would do it. And again, I'm not sure if Ricardo is aware, and he might be, but this is the way that it works, and it's the same process, Maggie, that Sylvia Atkinson uses, and it's the same process that happens out throughout all the corruption. So this is what I think that the government built their case on. Let's say here at my office, I want to change the floor. you know I'm receiving federal funds. I want to change the floor. So what I do is I call up my buddy Maggie. I said, hey Maggie, you got a fix it building out there. How much will you charge me to fix the floor at my office? And Maggie says, well, I'll charge you $100,000. I said, okay, deal. Send me a receipt for $10 million, and I'm going to give you $500,000, and I get the rest. But you're going to get $500,000. So what happens is the government cuts the check, gives it to Maggie. Maggie gets $10 million, gives me $9 million, or $9
And I
million.
thought what they were doing was reporting how many kids they were getting in and how much it costs to process the kids.
No, that's peanuts. And if I remember correctly, because again, I've been following this story from the start, and I actually got calls from a lot of the Gallegos people to say, "Hey, Erasmo, can you hold it back a little bit on them?" I said, "Yeah, no, it's not going to happen." But if I remember correctly, part of the problem was the contractors. Do you remember anything about that, Ricardo?
I don't have any particular memory of that, but I will kind of talk about this. It's interesting, Erasmo, because there's been so many people out there who I've run into in my law practice and out there in society with Sarah's election who are really disappointed in the FBI. That our FBI was lazy, that they were scared, that they didn't want to go after people, and people would go in there report things and they would turn them away. They were looking for low hanging fruit. But today, this type of arrest, I think, is going to change the tune and hopefully awaken people as a wake up call that is it's time to clean things up. It's really people who cheat the system just don't have the skill to make the money honestly. And if you don't have the skill to make the money honestly in a way that exchanges fairly with another person or people or group, just get out of the way. Okay? The Valley, I think, is fed up with corruption. They're not going to be buying it anymore. You're going to see some changes.
Well,
Do you think so? Now, and let me ask you this:
so
do you think the way the FBI is approaching what's going on down here is going to change? Because with the Sylvia Atkinson case, and now with this being brought up, do you think? And then with Erasmo, and I do think. I mean, I don't mean to have his head blow up a little bit more, but I do think he adds value to the community, and that he brings forth all these ideas, these things that are going on, this gossip that's going on, this information that everyone seems to know and everyone seems to talk about it under the table, but nobody really does anything about it. And so do you think that all of that is going to be like the perfect storm for us to have maybe improvements, less compadrismo, less stealing going on?
Let me tell you something about Erasmo, and I've known Erasmo for some years now before he knew me. Erasmo is a whistleblower. When I hear people who are highly critical of Erasmo, when I hear people who say they hate Erasmo, it's usually somebody that is not quite flying straight. And it goes that way. And you've seen that in history. We see that in the law. It's a classic tactic for people to discredit others that have the power to do them in, or have the tenacity to continue to report on things that need to be reported on that may affect them negatively. So I'm telling you, it's Erasmo was doing this very early on. We all saw the other blogs pick up on it, drop it. Everybody fell asleep, and once again, everyone went into apathy, thinking, "Well, they're just going to get away with it again." There's just this old royalty, the kings hidalgos down here, are claiming their royal land and their royal treasure. That's not the way it's working, and I think you're going to see some changes real soon.
well, let me say, and one a couple of things that y'all been making mention is so true. It's not over. I agree with Ricardo in regards to they're bringing these people in to let's see who's going to get the better deal and who's going to spill on the others. Now, if and I'll try to remind folks because I know that it was a story that we followed for a little bit. Uh, After Ruben Gallegos got subpoenaed in a way to go to Washington to speak on on what went on with these funds. And this is back. I'm talking about 5 years ago, Maggie and Ricardo. This is 5 6 years ago, and I was out there saying, I mean, the guy's in Washington right now. He's before these committees, and he's out there, trying to explain himself. And I said, it's not going to bide well for them. Let me tell you again. People went batshit crazy, going like, "Well, it can't be. It's just impossible." I said, "It's coming. It's coming." But the same thing with Soviet. It's coming. It's coming. Then I would say maybe 3 years ago, I got wind in regards to Senator Lucio and the Lucios up here in Austin, Texas. That all of a sudden, you know, they were corralled by some FBI agents out there, and they were taken in. And they were taken in for questioning. And the truth, I actually thought that it was connected to the Sylvia Atkinson thing more than anything. Now I'm a little bit more on the convinced side that it has to do with the Ruben Gallegos thing. Take into consideration, Ruben Gallegos still has, probably still has Eddie Lucio III as counsel for that organization, that group. One of the information that I got was that they were more than just counsel and client; they were business partners. So again, when you're a business partner, you can have a little bit more inside information of what was going, and it made sense back then, and it made sense back then because it was that little machine that the Lucios have created down here. You know, I'm sorry, it's this big old huge machine that they formulated to whereas they're in the know of everything. Take into consideration, these guys are out there buying property when they were going to build the bridge to nowhere. These guys, every single opportunity that's out there, they get first dibs on it. So why not become a business partner with someone that's raking in tens of millions of dollars from the federal government? So it was a right fit. Now, where it really like exploded on me was when they decided to quit office. And then I go like, now it makes sense. You know? Because
Because you think it's crumbling in?
yeah, well, look, this is how my mind works. And again, y'all can correct me if y'all think I'm completely off base. And this is part of the problem that I had with Roy de las Chanclas. And what I said with Roy de las Chanclas and what I said to the middies out there, and I know that Roy de las Chanclas has got some great stuff coming out in 6 days. I think I know what it is. It's going to be that workshop that they're going to have where the middies are going to go out there and speak. That's nothing. I'll counter that when I get there because I'll be at that meeting. But let me say, so we'll see then. But let me say, when you got this point over here that you can confirm, and you've got this point over here, and no one gives you the information in the middle, when all you have to do is suppose, because it made absolutely no sense whatsoever for Eddie Lucio III to resign. None. It made absolutely no sense for him to quit in January. And I'm going to take it a step further. It made absolutely no sense for Filemon Vela to quit all of a sudden. Makes no sense to anyone. And they used the same excuse. They said, well, we're going to go out there and lobby. It makes no sense because any lobbying firm out there would rather have you sitting on the seat than going to have to pander to other people. Why? So, and look, and because these people are in the inn, they're in the inn, and they've already been brought into for questioning. So, did they get tipped off? Hey, the feds are coming. The feds are coming, and they're going to come out right before election. So, the third, do not run. And this is my train of thinking: do not run because it's going to be right before an election, and the Democrat Party is going to be without a candidate because you're going to have to resign from running for office. Does that sound completely out of whack?
I can tell you, Erasmo, that we will soon get answers. Putting together all the puzzle pieces right now, they're probably whoever is involved is all going to tell on each other. And if they're having some sleepless nights worrying about the other, or if the other one's smiling and making deals with them, you better know that they're already probably telling on them. And they better beat the other one first and tell on the other, because I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to fall. And whoever's involved, and to be completely within my constitutional oath as a defense attorney, I will tell you, innocent until proven guilty, but if you're in an indictment, you better worry. You better worry because if the feds indicted you, they're using taxpayer money. They have to answer to Congress. They're usually not going to arrest somebody unless they got something on them. Period.
And again, the common folk who like no clue, and I know I'm not the only one because I'll talk to people who I know more about the politics that's going on than they do, and I'm thinking, how's that possible? Because I never know what's going on. But again, all of this that you're saying, Ricardo, is stuff that I thought was just movie stuff from Law and Order because I watch it all the time, and that's what they say. If I'm gonna indict someone, you better bring me stuff that I can prove. And I'm always thinking like dun dun dun. You know what I mean? So for you to say it like that, that makes me realize, oh shit. I mean, it's true.
Look at what Osmo said earlier about these politicians who are always in the right place at the right time. Is there going to be a second bridge? Well, they already bought the land. Is there going to be a possibility of gambling coming out in Texas? Well, they're already making deals and they got their candidate run. Is there going to be the possibility of a new movement to the courthouse? Well, they got that one figured out. What about the housing complex that they're going to build next to the arena that may come through. They got that one figured out too. And us folks don't get invited to those parties. We're stag. We're partner because we don't dance to that music.
Well, Maggie, look at remember what Sam was talking about, and think of everything that's going on right now. Everything is a mess in the city of Brownsville and Cameron County, a mess. Look at, and again, this is what's so trippy. My light bill went up to $500. $500 in this little office. I was paying 187. It went up to. I'm not joking, Maggie. $500. $500. And again, we've talked about this before. I can afford the extra $300. I don't like it. I can afford paying them. My concern is what's about all those other individuals that cannot pay for it. But let me say, where I'm getting at with it is that we're getting screwed all across the board because now Cameron County is out there fudging and playing with the numbers. So what we already know in regards to what's going to happen at Cameron County is our taxes are going to go up. Mm-hmm. We're going to pay more taxes. But guess what, guys? We're going to pay more taxes on the increased appraised value that we just had 3-4 months ago. So you're not paying the same. You're not paying un tantito más than you were paying last year. You're going to pay a crap load more because of the increased appraised value of stuff.
And at Erasmo, if you're in Harlingen, man, you're going to pay $1 million more. They're going to raise taxes in Harlingen $1 million more. Promises were made. History was made with new government there. But you know what? It's the same old stuff. It's just new faces, man. It's like on the Brady Bunch where you'd have the old character replaced with somebody new, and you're like, who's that? It's the same role.
Marsha.
Stop it.
But Maggie.
Yeah, no, I know. And most of us are trying to make it as we go happily along, skipping along the road, not knowing all of this is going on.
But let me tell you. Okay. People can't afford stuff right now. Inflation is up, food's up, everything's crazy in regards to prices.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to all these individuals that, after a certain boom out there, after, Trump was in office, they said, let me go buy some houses out there. Let me go out and invest. And all of a sudden, Maggie, they can't pay for all those houses. Well, they're going to foreclose on them. You can't pay your taxes. You can't pay your bills. Guess who gets first dibs on those houses that get foreclosed?
The rich.
The politicos.
The ones
the
ones who are in the know that they know they're coming up.
It's like Ricardo just mentioned. Yeah. Isn't it amazing how all of these politicos all of a sudden, are right there at the right place at the right time in order to get all the great grapes out there?
And what was it Ricardo said? And the rest of us don't get asked to dance? We're not invited to the party? Yep.
And some of us are not only not invited to the party, but we're given the wrong place where the party's supposed to be.
Go show up somewhere else.
Yeah.
It really is a horrible situation. But again, everyone in this county is getting screwed.
Sarah ran on a reformist ticket. And her platform was very independent, actually. She took in term limits, she took in finance reform, she took in, different social issues. She was a very comprehensive candidate. And at the end of the day, outspent by $3.2 million. And you know what the underlying scheme is? Gambling. That's what it is. And if you think I sound like a kooky, crazy guy, let's just see in a couple years if I'm right. Let's see if there's going to be a move to go into one of the poorest areas in Texas where people are most susceptible to predatory issues. Spending the light bill on gambling, etc., addictive issues. Watch.
We've been listening to a kooky guy for a couple of years now, and it's all coming true.
It's all coming true.
So I don't doubt it anymore.
Well,
hey,
yeah.
Sorry, comments. because it's my job. And I agree. No, go back one real quick. That's the same thing I thought today. Is like, I wonder if they're going to change the name of the school.
They're going to have to, Maggie.
How many times have they changed names of schools in BISD?
Honestly, I do not know. But they're going to have to.
Can we name the school after a regular person, please? Can we not have to name it after a relative of a politician? Or it's like, can we name it after a war hero or a teacher? Please.
Well, let me say, like, it's going to come up in regards to, because let me tell you guys, and again, they're going to be found guilty. And one of the things that Ricardo mentioned is we just don't know to what extent they're going to be found guilty because we don't know who else they're going to turn in. But can you imagine, in one quick blow, we're going to have to change the Gallego schools, the Lucio schools, the Lucio highways. I mean, you're talking about major changes around here because if it goes as far as I think it's going to go, it's going to be interesting here locally in regards to the politics thing. And and again, people may go out there and say like, "Oh well, nothing has been proven against the Lucios." I'm going like, "Well, yeah, not yet." But isn't it too much of a coincidence? That these guys all of a sudden we don't want anything to do with office. Too much all of a sudden that they were business partners with these individuals. Too much of all of a sudden that they were receiving a hefty salary as well.
It's like my grandma used to say growing up, tell me who you with and I'll tell you who you are.
Exactly.
I hope people can take a cue on that. If you're out there running around with bandidos and people who are stealing from the taxpayers and you think they're good company, you might want to take a look at who your friends are, man, because that's not going to get you anywhere.
Well, that's what look. When I first started running for office, let me say, they and this is why I do things very differently from a lot of the other candidates out there. And again, I'm not going to change who I am. And when I first started to run for office, they told me, they said, "Hey, you have to go to these different parties. We've got Sylvia Garza Perez. She's going to have an event over there at the Galaxy Bowl, and you go in there, and you shake hands with everyone. You let them know, hey, I'm running, and let me tell you, we're like, okay, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, so I said, well, let me go. I went, and sure enough, jam packed full of politicos, and I go like, hey, hi, how's it going, Erasmo Castro? Hey, how's it going? After the second table, I said, I'm out of here. And you know why? Because I felt dirty. Because the machine that exists here, the corrupt political machine, these dynasties that have been created from this corrupt political machine, the dedazo, it's dirty. And anyone that is not a part of that circle, you could sense it, you could feel it. Because if you're not in that inner circle, going back to what Ricardo said, you're not at the right place at the right time to get a good deal on a piece of property out there. And that's what's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But again, at the end of the day, Maggie and Ricardo, those that are more to blame are the individuals that refuse to vote and the individuals that sell their vote for a plato of
Chicken.
enchiladas podridas and cold chicken.
Worse, in this last election cycle during the runoff, there were the liquor tabs open. I actually have all the evidence in a folder. Liquor tabs open to the tune of thousands of dollars night after night during early voting. And I'm telling you right now, these are the tactics right now that unfortunately don't give our region the best possible look when it comes to our capital. And what does our capital see? Like, what do the people, what do the leadership from Austin actually see or hear about the valley? Well, they hear, well, there's probably a couple of families that control the votes down there and the people, well, they're not really paying that much attention. So their political leaders can help us pass legislation that violates rights or condemns certain folks, and maybe they'll pass a pipeline through. Maybe it's a messy situation.
Is the Ruben Gallegos vendor shenanigans like President Catip Drew Brown voting for all the vendors that Sylvia Atkinson took money from, but now they want to do the right for the kids and staff? Yeah, it's a lot similar. And and I'm looking at all these posters, you know, now, and people are going like, "Let's do it for the kids." Well, where the freak were you 4 years ago? Where were you 2 years ago? Now you want to do it for the kids? Shut the hell up, you pieces of crap. Everyone should be voted out. No incumbents should be voted into office. None. Zero. Zip. Vote every incumbent out. If they got an I after their name, especially if they're PC, vote those people out. Let the chips fall where they may. It's time, man. It's time. But that indictment is only valid for the FBI because Luis Saenz uses indictments too for vengeance. Since you mentioned this, Alberto, let me say, and I know that part of the reason why the FBI was called in for the Gallegos thing is because it was federal funds. So when it's federal money, that's where. But isn't there enough corruption here in regards to the political machine? And we have it seems like no one in local law enforcement cares to lift a finger against it.
Well, you know what? Just to speak to that, it is in the federal province, and Mr. Sines deals with state and county issues. But I will tell you this: every single law enforcement officer out there better be doing their job to properly refer to the feds when there is an issue they have knowledge of. Because I'm going to tell you, there is likely a breakdown between our local law enforcement agencies and the feds whenever it gets this far. It has gotten, why do we have to wait until so much money has been stolen from the people that's almost never going to be recovered? I guarantee you they're never going to recover the amount of money this man stole from the people. Taxpayers, you were screwed. Why does it have to wait all the way until then before somebody speaks up? Because in order to do that type of heist, people knew. And so, if you're implicated in this, find a good attorney, get your proper letter. You better get in first, because I'm going to tell you, in the Villalobos probe, in the Limas probe, there were some folks that did time, and their violations of law dwarfed the violations of other folks out there that got less time or didn't get time at all. So what does that tell you? It tells you if you're last in, you're last out.
You're gonna get screwed.
Hey, Erasmo, did you say that the FBI is requesting that he pay money back?
Oh yeah. Well, I think Ricardo made mention that a certain money had to be already given up, but it's always a part of and again, Ricardo is the expert on this, but it's always a part of the sentence. They have to do restitution. They have to pay some of the money back, and a lot of it's going to come from the different properties that these people own, because a lot of the lifestyle that these people sedan, it took away a bunch of all that change that they took. But they might have still some out there in some bank accounts or something, or some CDs, or some I don't know, stocks or something, that they're going to have to make some type of restitution back. Is that true, Ricardo?
But that's what Ricardo said right now too, right? Is they'll never get back all the money that was taken.
Yeah, restitution is a post-conviction remedy for trying to get the money back that was stolen. But any prosecutor or any defense attorney knows almost never is restitution actually met. Almost never.
Never.
The real restitution, and I think the only way this man could vindicate himself, is if he brought down a whole network of bandidos with him that they would have not otherwise been able to get.
Well, let's hope and pray. because I want. Let me tell you, and that's one of the things that and I've made mention about this before. El que nada debe, nada teme. If you got nothing to hide, you know, let the dark spark around you. But anyone and everyone out there that has been a part of the corrupt political machine here locally needs to fall, needs to go down, and needs to be publicly humiliated. We need to definitely break this cycle. We need to do the only thing we can do at this point, and that's vote. And not only vote, make sure you get other individuals out there involved in the voting process. It's the only way, guys. It's the only way.
And it's
I
the
will,
most, isn't it the most powerful way?
yes. Let me see. I got a comment. It says on YouTube that didn't cross over. It says, I had the unfortunate pleasure of meeting that junior. The guy's an a-hole, treated teachers, staff, and administrators like crap because of his connections. I hope he becomes someone's be in prison. Sorry, guy. I don't know why it's scripted, but I didn't want you to think I had left you out. Let's see.
Um, and
Amanda,
and and Junior has kind of, I knew him in high school, so he has a history of being same personality for a while now.
a pompous ass. How about R.
I did a comment
L.
here,
Martin?
Erasmo, about the.
Huh? What'd you say, Ricardo?
I wanted to make a general comment here about the whole idea. It's just a bad idea, I think, to entrust these funds with unvetted folks that, you know, without any real oversight. The system's broken as well. And this is just a policy idea. And, Sarah actually pointed this out because, one of the candidates right now, Villarreal, has his own, child, uh, I don't know for a better word, child prison, whatever you call it, institution where children refugees are kept locked
Hell.
up, whatever you want to say.
Mhm.
Why are they not vetting these folks and providing oversight, even in the legal game? If you take guardianship of another person, we have a great probate court. They provide that you have to make an annual report every year of where the money is going, how it's going, who is actually following up on this stuff, who is running the oversight on these federal funds. That's a breakdown.
Well, so Villarreal also has a couple of these homes out there.
My understanding is that in Willacy County, one of those places where the refugee children are kept and they're put through school or whatever is he's part of that deal.
Well,
That's his deal.
but isn't it because Luis used to work with the the Lucios? Wasn't he one of the chief for the Senator Lucio?
You know, people have made that connection before. Some have said they had a similar office space where the old post office is. That's there's an office there that uh, Villarreal may own and the Lucios rent or used to rent. I'm not really sure. I will tell you though that they were together politically during the election somewhat. I've actually saw it with my own two eyes.
Well, it's a good question to ask, Luis. Again, we're hoping they come on. Let's ask them the real questions. Are you in with the Lucios to, with all this Gallegos thing? Because again, dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres, and look, and it's really, really very unfortunate because, we've got Morgan La Mantilla out there, who's, she's officing out of Eddie Lucio III's office. It's just right here, I mean, a half a block away. So is she going to disassociate herself or separate herself from the Lucios as well? Because whenever the Gallegos thing hit the first time,
You know,
again, huh?
the normal protocol would be, look, let's just say this without calling we'll generally say if a political incumbent puts an endorsement out there for another individual and later that political incumbent incumbent investigation, they're arrested. I think it would be reasonable for that candidate who was endorsed by that incumbent to then have to publicly turn down, absolutely
Mhm.
say, express your disassociation and express how they no longer feel the endorsement would be valid. I mean, that's a normal to do, right? But let's look at it right now. So far, we only have Gallegos arrested. We have to have taken, they put in their resignation so far or decided they're not going to run again. We know that that is a correlated, but we don't know what's on that indictment yet. But we may find out soon. We may find out soon.
Well, it's going to be interesting because I seem to think that they're all into it. I seem to think that it's just too much of a coincidence that as soon as the first time that he was picked up by the FBI for questioning, talking about Gallegos Jr., all of a sudden the pictures that he had with uh, Eddie Lucio III all of a sudden disappeared, completely disappeared from their social media pages.
You've
And
made,
again,
I don't know whether it's because you get informed by other people, but you've made some connections before that I was like, I don't see it. And then it comes up. Go back a few comments just so that we can catch up with the comments real quick. The one where you talk, the one before, yes, R.L. Martin used to be Ebony Heights. That's the one thing, that's the one school I was thinking of too. I don't know which other one. Brownsville became Hannah. Brownsville High School became Hannah. I don't know what other schools have been renamed. And then go to the one about that Alberto has. Well, you were saying Luis. I was wondering about that too. No, the one that Alberto made, Luis Signs.
uh, which one?
Go back, go back. After the one about the name. Here, hang on.
Now you have control over it. You you,
I
you
know that's why. Sorry, Ricardo. We're a bunch of rookies around here. This one.
I saw the comment you're mentioning, Maggie. Yeah, you're talking about the Public Integrity Task Force, and you're talking about, again, you're not going to find a good prosecutor go out there and talk about an ongoing investigation when it's incumbent upon them to build the case to a conviction beyond a reasonable doubt. So you can have all kinds of pieces happening in both Mr. Sines' department and the feds that you just don't know about. But what we do know about is Gallegos was picked up today. He was arrested. He's named an indictment with other people. And are those other people going to come around and be first to proffer, or are they going to be last? And it's going to be an interesting thing because if it goes the way the Limas probe went, you're going to have one star witness who's going to testify against everybody. And people thought, is Jim Solis untouchable? Is Abel Limas untouchable? Is Armando Villalobos untouchable? But they were not. They were not untouchable. And what made the case was the witnesses.
Well,
in that particular case, probe Oscar de la Fuente, who was implicated in several issues, he testified against his good friend Armando Villalobos, and he was granted total immunity.
that is trippy. But
The thing, if you go back and look at the record about what was said in the
yeah, well, let me say that one of the things that we learned during the Sylvia Atkinson mess was that she wanted to come later on to give information in regards to some other folks, and by then it was already too late. Because what happened with Sylvia, and I don't know if you remember this, Maggie or Ricardo, what happened with Sylvia is she was arrogant and cocky, thinking that she was going to beat the
Mhm.
rap. And the Fed said, there's only a small window for you to come and break down with some evidence on other folks, and that window closed. And then later on, when she knew she was really screwed, then she tried to say, well, I got a recording on a judge out there, and they said it's too late. So I agree with Ricardo. whoever comes first, and in that right amount of time, you're gonna get a good deal, Bubba. So I would encourage everyone out there, Lucius, anyone else out there that has any information in regards to any of these misdealings with federal funds, go out there quick, pronto. We need to.
Erasmo, I'm gonna paint a little picture for the folks out there, just so they can get an idea of what prison is like. I've been in several prisons because I've represented, various folks, and people think, well, prison, you get three hots and a cot, get a little TV, get a little vacation, maybe do a little exercise. You know that 9 out of 10 people walk out of prison with irreversible psychological damage? They're not the same person.
When they come out.
Prison will drive you crazy. Prison will mess your head up. And you think it's okay, it's like school, we're okay. No, people are telling you what to do all the time. People are watching you. They can walk in while you're taking a shower and check on you and whatever. They're gonna do inspections of your body cavities. They're gonna check your room. People will be broken down in prison like they do not imagine. It is hell. You're gonna go to prison, you're gonna suffer. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
I was watching a show earlier called I Killed Someone and Now I'm Released or something like that. It's either Netflix or Discovery Plus. And it's a gentleman who he murdered someone, went to jail in Texas, was in jail for 30 years. And he talks about that. He talks about how you become institutionalized and there's certain behaviors that you pick up that you can't get rid of because it's what you deal with every day. But it's interesting that you're saying that he was talking about that, about how much it messes you up, about how even some of the men that come out of jail talk about going to the mall and all the color makes them dizzy because they're not used to that. I was thinking how some of the simple things that it really does mess you up. And you wonder because when Susie Mowbray was in jail, I was working at Walden Books and her mom used to come in once a month and buy a ton of books for her to send to her. And I used to think, what a great time to sit and read all day long. That's how I saw it.
Somebody raised his salary up to 500,000, so he got arrested for going over the federal salary cap of 177. So that's how he got busted apparently. I don't know about this cap, Carlos. I doubt that it's $187,000 cap on it, and I'll tell you because a lot of the monies that the district receive are federal funds, and we know for a fact the superintendent is making close to $400,000, over $400,000. So I'm not sure about the cap, but it's something to look into. Who's giving them the contracts? Let's go to this quick. Seems like Villarreal should jump shit. At least come clean, Give a statement, say something, separate yourselves from these individuals quick. I wonder if Linda Gallegos, the principal of Veterans High School, was on the IES payroll. I'm going to say, if I remember correctly, yes, she was. I think the whole family was. And this should concern a lot of people because one of the things, Maggie, that I think we saw today in regards to Commissioner Roy de las Chanclas, he comes out there and goes like, hey, wait in 6 days, we're going to have something out there and I'm going to come because, the Bible says in Proverbs, I don't know why the hell he thinks he needs to quote Proverbs. And I know exactly this passage that he make mention. But let me say, el que siembra discordia entre los hermanos. My concern with that is, what they're going to do is they're going to bring the middies up to a special workshop in order to, explain to us, and clarify a lot of the things in regards to the hiring of Mostad and also the hiring of Brian Martinez at $75,000. Let me tell you, Dinah Midi, stop believing Roy de las Chanclas. It's not going to go well for you at the workshop. And I can guarantee you, I will be there at the workshop. And it's open to public comment. I will comment. Stop believing the corrupt political machine. They're dragging you down. When I had a conversation with you, Miss Mitty, You stated that you did not want your family's name to be dragged through the mud. And I mentioned to you, it's the corrupt politicos that you're associating with that are dragging your family's name through the mud. If you don't want your name dragged through the mud, middies, stay away from the corrupt politicians.
And bring it down a notch. Sorry. Real quick, going back to this comment. So if she was working for IES or was on the IES payroll, is that something that's going to get brushed aside, or is that something that is going to be brought up also?
Well, I'll chime in, then I'll chime in.
Well, that's the
Huh?
I think, real quick, I think that it's going to get to the point where Ms. Gallegos is going to be reassigned. Because I
Doctor.
think take into consideration, she is in one of the uppity high schools in the district. She is in that St. Joe feeder, which is veterans. So I'm going to really think that there's going to come a point where it's going to be brought to the superintendent's, desk out there and board members that we need to put her in an elementary.
You think?
Yeah, or bring her down to assistant principal.
You know
or
what
be-
the major
Yeah.
you know what the major enemy in this probe would be? Assuming you have all these political officials involved. The major enemy of all these folks is the nerd. And I'm going to tell you why. Because this type of case requires major forensic process, both in computer and accounting and transactional. It requires breaking down different electronic devices and tracing where the money went, in what person, and how was it funneled. Because this is criminals in most white collar criminals are not going to just the money's here in this property, that's where it is, it's in my name, you found it, sorry. No, they put it in all these different ways that are very untraceable, very difficult to get. And I happen to know experts and folks out there who will blow your mind. They have extremely high capability on computers and forensic, and they would be the ones that would be the worst nightmares of any political out there, anybody out there who is implicated in this indictment. The feds better contract the nerds. If they fail to contract the nerds, they're going to lose money and people are going to get off.
Well, I think it's going to be one of those cases that's going to drag on for a while, because again, we're talking about millions of dollars, millions and millions. You're talking about warehouses full of documents and information and recordings and wiretaps, and it's going to be interesting to follow and slowly to start see the names, coming out. But is Linda Gallegos in trouble? Again, you don't wish trouble on anyone. Only those individuals that had their hand in the cookie jar. They all must fall. They should all go down. Oh yeah, again, anyone who, and again, this is one of the things that I've always made mention, and I stated, look, I was on the board. Let me tell you, I have absolutely no fear of getting indicted for anything dealing with stealing, taking bribes, or taking money from our children. In the in the most minute, because I never stole a dime from anyone, and that made me a unique type of elected official, the
And
accountant.
it we're Americans, man. We believe in our justice system, and
Mhm.
nobody who didn't do wrong should be going down. Nobody who was just at the wrong place, the wrong time. Now, here's the question: if you're at the wrong place at the wrong time, should you go down too? Well, the law doesn't make a concession for that. It doesn't make, you could be going down based on a conspiracy alone. Now, look up a federal conspiracy. It is the dragnet, it is the way a lot of people have gotten convicted. If you know of a criminal event and you do not report it or do anything to contribute to it, you could be convicted of a criminal conspiracy or misprison of a felony. Just knowing about a federal crime and not reporting it, you can be convicted in due time.
Wow.
Well,
That's the law.
my my greatest wish is for all of them to go down, all of them, whoever they may be. And again, one of the things that I have a conversation with, and again, people say, Erasmo, you were so in love with Trey, and I'm going like, well, yeah, he was my friend until the day I learned that he was pocketing the community's money. Because I don't give a rat's behind who you are. You could be my parents for that matter. If you're out there pocketing the money that should go to the community in the city, you better believe I'm going to call her out. The only thing I call out Mama is for not putting my clothes away like she should after she washes them.
I'll tell you what, after hearing about that incident, I wouldn't vote for Trey again for anything. And I voted for him the first time, and I believed in him. And I'm sad to say I couldn't believe it. I asked 3 different people what the evidence was because I'm skeptical. I'm an attorney. Give me the evidence. But sure enough, people produced information that he was involved in these LLCs and whatever was going on, and that they benefit from that Musk money. And it just wasn't right. I still can't believe it.
Well, I agree with Ricardo in the sense that it's difficult to swallow because again, let me tell, and again, I've shared this story before. I was probably one of the first individuals to go out there and encourage Trey to run for mayor of the city of Brownsville. We met up in Austin. This was when I decided and actually he encouraged me to run when I ran for, and this is like 7 years ago. When I ran for mayor of the city of Brownsville, uh, I was encouraging him to run because I believed in Trey. I mean, I would put my hands in the fire for him. I would say, nope, not Trey. He's not going to go out there and take stuff that's not his until I learned otherwise.
So many people have said that, Erasmo, around town. So many people have said that about Trey. It's sad that he's let down so many people.
And part of the problem, Maggie Ricardo, is that because they have this group of little politicos out there, that no man, you're doing a great job, everything's okay, everything's great. They feed off those individuals. When you're having grandmothers, tias, struggling to pay their damn light bill.
Yeah. You know something real quick, I'll say this. Did you know that if you're a lawyer and you're in a public position of trust, you're held to the standard of a lawyer, meaning that you have a duty to disclose a conflict of interest. You have a duty to not act in your self interest, and all the rest of the duties expected from an attorney. So, when you deal with an attorney who's an elected position, they are held to a higher standard because
Mm-hmm.
they do know.
Well, again, it's like his response to my comment. It was I followed the guidelines. I'm going like, but you made the guidelines. You set the guidelines.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
What was that comment said?
So what you're saying, De La Garza, President and Drew Brown knew that Sylvia was stealing millions from the kids and staff and should be indicted with felonies. Anyone
Wasn't
that
that what
knows,
was going to
I don't think
happen?
we're said.
anyone that knows or has information,
I will tell you. I will only tell you this. Look, what I am saying is this: if a person has knowledge of a felony and fails to report that felony, they may be charged and later convicted for a misprison of a felony. Look it up.
yeah.
Look it up. Everyone should know the laws of the land. It's not just for lawyers, it could save your butt. You need to know.
And I agree. I think what Carlos mentioned, if you know of any misdoings out there, and it's like one of our sayings, tanto peca el que mata la vaca como el que les tira la pata. Guys, if you know of anyone out there that is stealing from our community, anyone out there that is pocketing the resources that should go to our weakest here, please report. Please stand up and be the
And
voice of.
the feds are not looking. The feds are looking for personal knowledge. They're not looking for hearsay. They're not looking for you heard it on Erasmo Castro or did I hear it from my abuela or whatever. No, if you with your own two eyes or your own two ears or any variation thereof, if you're become privy to a federal crime, you got it. If you're going to go to the feds with hearsay, they're not likely going to be as interested as under Rule 602 of the Texas Rules of Evidence and the federal rules of evidence. Personal is key.
Well, guys, our hour is up, and
Quickly it went.
it went so fast.
Yeah.
But thanks, Ricardo. Thanks, Maggie.
Thanks, Ricardo, for coming on.
You're amazing.
I think next week you're going to have a big show. A big show.
I think Thursday, next Thursday, we're going to have a good one. We should be back on all pages by then, and I think that after a lot of the information is unsealed, we're going to get a clearer picture of what's going on. And again, guys, the only way that things are going to change here in our community, the only way that things are going to get better is if we continue to unite, we continue to fight, we continue to reach out to the weakest amongst us, and not take from their pocket, but do to lift them up. And again, our politicians have failed us. The system has failed us. Please do not join in that group that continuously fails our community. Join in the group that want to make a difference, that
Yep.
want to see a better Brownsville, better Cameron County. We want better representation up at the state, better representation up at Washington. And the only way that that's going to happen is if you go out and vote and you get other individuals to go out and vote and become a part of the electoral process by holding up signs,
Mm-hmm.
by donating to campaigns of individuals that are not a part of that corrupt political machine. So, guys, thank you again. Guys, tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, limited show, but we'll be here, guys. Be good to each other. Continue to be good to me. God bless.